locally funded newscast from the Faculty of Education bringing you real, authentic, and engaging material. Thank you for joining us on U of R Ed News tonight.
Welcome back to U of R Ed News. I'm your host, Daniel Santha. And tonight, we have the privilege to introduce our newest anchor with Ed News, Carly Beitler. Tonight's news segment, it's a plant, but it's also a drug, tobacco.
Tobacco use is the leading preventable cause of premature death in Canada. According to Drugs and Society, 90% of cancer cases are caused by tobacco use.
There are many different forms of tobacco use, such as cigarettes, light cigarettes, electronic cigarettes, also known as e-cigarettes or vaping, and lastly, smokeless tobacco, which includes snuff, chewing tobacco, and secondhand smoke.
To get a first-hand point of view, we're going to hit the halls with Braden, conducting some interviews with our fellow Ed students.
It's gonna rain!
We literally just did weather, Braden. We're on to tobacco.
That's right, Carly. I'm here at the university interviewing fellow colleagues on their opinion of tobacco use.
Tobacco is a naturally occurring plant that has been used for consumption dating back to Mayan civilization. Since being brought back to Europe by Columbus on his voyages, tobacco has been manipulated with additives and addictive chemicals in order to increase consumption. Today it is mainly used in cigarette products. According to the Canadian Tobacco, Alcohol and Drugs Survey in 2017, 22% of Saskatchewan teens aged 15 and 19 are smoking as compared to the national average of only 8%. In 2013, in Saskatchewan, there was about 20% of youth were reporting using electronic cigarettes. The statistic has risen over the past years. Data from the Canadian government said those rates have now doubled to 41%.
What is your opinion on tobacco use?
I think that it's a controlled substance that people use to cope.
Why do you think people smoke?
I think it has a lot to do with stress in people's lives and maybe the inability to not have a healthy coping mechanism for that stress.
Why do you smoke?
I use it as a coping mechanism for stress, and it's now become a habit, and I'm addicted.
What is it that got you into smoking?
My boyfriend, he smoked when I met him, and he smoked since he was 14. I quit when I was in university, played hockey and stuff, and then I came back, and yeah, I started smoking again, and now I'm addicted again.
So would you say that peer pressure plays a big role in the development of smoking?
Absolutely. For me, it was more so of actually missing the social connection, so he would go out to smoke, and I'd feel like I was missing something.
As a non-smoker, how has smoking impacted you?
Well, if we look at the facts, since 1964, 2.5 million non-smokers have actually died from health problems caused by exposure to secondhand smoke.
What do you think the youth finds so intriguing about smoking cigarettes?
Well, in more recent times, I believe that electronic cigarettes have become really trendy among the youth because of the various flavors, easy access, and the popularity.
Would you say the anti-smoking ads that are common on tobacco products are a fair representation of the impact of smoking?
I don't think it's enough. I think that it's minute. If you're addicted, you don't really look at the package. You just open it, have a smoke, and away you go.
How does smoking impact your health?
Ooh. I can no longer run 5 kilometers without coughing. I cough quite a bit, and I'll take breaks just to go smoke instead of, hanging out with the family or having a healthy snack instead of smoking.
In 2017, Regina takes on limiting amount of smoking by passing a bylaw restricting public use of tobacco. I meet with someone who is clearly going outside for a smoke.
So I see that you're ready to go outside for a smoke. What's your stance on the outdoor smoking bylaw that came into effect on July 15, 2017?
What bylaw? I smoke where I want, when I want. This is a free country.
Well, actually, in July 2017, the city of Regina passed an outdoor smoking law that prohibits the use of smoking and vaping. This also includes smoking on a city-owned control land, outdoor seating areas of restaurants, bars, and similar establishments, and smoking within a 10-meter zone of doors, windows, and an air exchange of public buildings.
Well, that's news to me. I don't get why the city keeps telling us how to live our lives. There's nothing wrong with smoking.
Actually, according to Drugs and Society, there are more deaths caused per year by tobacco use than by HIV, illicit drugs, murders, alcohol use, suicide, and motor vehicle accidents.
So even if what you're saying is true, I've already been smoking for years. What's the point of me quitting now?
Well, long-term effects of quitting smoking include within 10 years, the risk of dying from lung cancer is cut in half, while within 15 years of quitting, the risk of dying from a heart attack is equal to someone who has never smoked.
So what if I die tomorrow? What's quitting gonna do for me now?
Well, actually, within 48 hours of quitting smoking, the chances of experiencing a heart attack are lower, while in 72 hours, breathing becomes easier and lung capacity increases.
Are you for real?
Yes, ma'am. After having this interview and learning about the effects of quitting and the new bylaw, do you think your smoking habits will change?
I think I might try to quit, but I'm pretty scared. What if I fail or relapse?
Saskatchewan pharmacists have recently been given the power to prescribe both medications and treatments that can help smokers with quitting.
No way. I never knew that. I think tomorrow I might head over to my local pharmacy.
I think you should, because smoking's really bad.
Thank you. Thanks for your time. That's enough now.
I later met with a health guru that gave me a little bit of insight on the impact of smoking. What is it that makes tobacco products so dangerous for your health?
Well, we have known since 1828 that nicotine is one of the most dangerous components that make up tobacco. So in its pure form, nicotine is extremely toxic, and a small dose injected directly into the bloodstream is enough to kill a person within an hour.
How does nicotine enter the body?
The nicotine will enter your body differently depending on how the tobacco product is used. So for example, when smoked, the nicotine enters the lungs and is absorbed into the bloodstream. And on the other hand, for example, chewing or placing tobacco between the gums and the cheek allow for the nicotine to be absorbed through the mouth. Yeah.
How does nicotine impact the body?
Well, research included in Drugs and Society has shown that nicotine affects areas of the brain that are responsible for feelings of pleasure, which contribute to that want or need to have that pleasure again. Another example of nicotine impacts on the body would include affecting the receptors that monitor the brain's need for oxygen, and others might include, but are not limited to, increasing blood flow, heart rate, and blood, causing all kinds of problems with the cardiovascular system.
Okay, thank you for taking time out of your day to answer these questions for me, Miss Professor.
You're welcome.
I met with the university professor to discuss his opinion on how we should be educating our youth on the impacts of tobacco use.
With the rise of e-cigarettes and peer pressure, how do you think that we can defeat the use of tobacco products?
Well, I think that scare tactics have shown only to work for so long and for certain individuals. I believe youth need to be educated on how to think critically and grow confidence. Educators have the financial deficit and the health effects as a method of teaching. However, youth are still smoking. We are believing to switch towards self-esteem, critical thinking, and coping mechanisms. With these skills, students would be more capable of recognizing the financial and biological impacts of smoking and make an educated decision opposed to an artificial one.
Well, Dan, seems the educators of the world still have a long ways to go preventing our youth from using this horrible substance.
Couldn't agree more, Carly. Now that we've heard from future educators within the university with their take on tobacco use in our society, how do you think you can make a difference? Now on to funny pet videos.